This is just a quick video for intermediate and studio watercolor students. During the course of the semester, you're going to create 3 different sets of scales, and within each one you're going to have 4. So the easiest way to do this in terms of the measurements is to just set it up in advance. And I've done this so that you don't waste paper, so that you have scratch paper left over. So if your paper is 15 by 20, it's going to look like that. And right off the bat, to save paper, we're going to cut off a piece right here. So if this is 20 and this is 15, we're going to cut off a piece that's 8 inches here. Just go ahead and crop it really evenly with either a couple of rulers or a T-square, and that way you can save this section for scratch paper, which is always really important to have anyway. So that leaves you with 12 by 15, and you can also figure out how to do this on an 18 by 24 if that's what you have. But on this one, we're going to do an inch border all the way around. It's easier to do this first, I think. Just an inch border all the way around this area. So you're basically creating an area that's, with an inch around, it's 13 by 10. And then within each of the 13 by 10, we're going to make 4 scales that are spread out an inch each apart. So basically this is 2, and then you have 1 for in between, then you have 2, then you have 1 in between, and then you have 2, and so on, and then at the bottom 1. So this is your border. So basically we just want it to look clean and good when you actually turn it in. So these are the measurements. This looks messy how I did it, but basically this is what you're going to end up with. You're going to get rid of that, and then you're going to have this nice and clean 1, 2, 3, 4 scales. And if you put the border first and then erase it later, that works fine. Just so they're all 2 by 10. So you have 2 by 10 for each square. For each scale. We're going to divide each by 5. So we're going to do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the second one we're going to skip. So it's just more like a mental note of division, but on the second one you won't. So you drop down 1, and basically we're having 3 papers all the way through the semester, and within each one we're going to have 4 scales, and within each 4 scales we're going to have 2 even and 2 wet and wet, like we did at the warm-up at the beginning of beginning drawing. So you'll have a little gap in between each one and around. The great thing is you can just do this right away. Just do 4 of these. Save the little scraps on the side for warm-up stuff, but you're going to have 4 of these ready to go for the whole semester. We're going to have, basically we're going to have one of the hues going steps into blank paper. But on this one you're going to do every other so they don't run into each other. These are dry squares, even wash, hard edge. This one we're going to do the same thing except blend the hue into white. And then on this one we're going to do the hue into black. This says blank paper. And this is black here. So we're going to do steps from the hue into black and then a blend of 1 into the black. This is just like the warm-up we did in beginning watercolor, where we did some wet and wet, one color into another or one color into white. And here we're just going to be doing the hue that we're using into black, the hue that we're using into the blank white paper, steps into the blank white, and steps into the black. So basically you have tints, whereas with acrylic if you added white paint it would be tints, but here we're adding paper. So these are tints and these are shades. Tones are going to be a little more challenging to get because basically tones are gray. So you're kind of getting your tones in with your shades doing this. But this is going to be the palette for each painting, and that's basically the measurements. So that way you can divide your paper up, all 3 of them, get the pencil lines on there, and then it's ready to go. Plus, it's good to have an extra in case you mess up.